The Bambu P2S has been an amazing printer to use. Over the last 30 days, I've really put it through its paces and have learned a lot of things printing with the Bambu P2S. So let's go over to the laptop, find some of those useful items. Let's go print something. So the first P2S add-on we're going to be printing is a waste container for our filament poops. We'll go ahead and download and open this. And this is something that everyone should be printing, is one of these, whether you like a model like this, which we will be needing magnets for, and I've already bought those magnets. It shows on the description that you need 10 by 2 millimeter magnets, which you can get on Amazon. And there's also, there's other options too. So if you don't have magnets or anything like that, there's like these types here, which I have printed one of those. It's actually in my unboxing video because I didn't have magnets. I printed this one out just to give me a waste chute for the time being. Otherwise, all the filament purges will just dump out on the back onto your desk. So that's why you want one of these. So this is the original one I printed out, which works okay. It's not the greatest. You really have to make sure it's secured up against it, maybe even almost tape it. Whereas the magnet one, you really don't have to worry about. So let's go back to our magnet one. Go ahead and preview the print. It's going to be 182 grams of filament. It does take quite a bit of filament for these because they are pretty big, and it's going to be about almost 4 hours. We'll go ahead and print the plate and we'll check back on it in 4 hours. Here's our filament waste chute, and if you notice on the back, here's the 3 holes for the magnets, and then there's our magnets. The magnets that we're going to be using, I'm just going to take some super glue and put them in there and put the magnets in. The next accessory I think we need to print for our Bambu printer is this toolkit right here. The Bambu P2S, and I believe the other Bambu printers, even though I don't have one, come with a bunch of tools, and they're put into like a cheap cardboard box. And they have this file here to be able to print and be able to put all your little tools and stuff that it comes with the printer. We're going to go ahead and download this and open it. And we're going to switch to our P2S. And it'll break it up into 2 different prints. Let's start with this one. So the model is going to take 165 grams of filament, 33.11 grams flushed, 7 grams for the purge tower, for a total of 205.26 grams. 94 filament changes for a total of 7 hours. So let's send this over to the printer. All right, and we'll go ahead and start the print. Now we're going to go ahead and go over here, now that we have that printed, and we're going to print out the tray. I don't know why it has a prime tower here. That's kind of weird. Let's preview the print, because this tray should only be white. There should be no filament changes. Oh, that's right. It is green on the bottom and then white on top. Here it is. Looks like 85 grams of filament for the model, 0.57 grams flushed, 1.93 for the prime tower, for a total of 87.84 grams of filament. 2 times they're going to change filament. Green on the bottom, white on the top. Not a big deal. 2 hours, 20 minutes. Go ahead and print this one. Send it off to the printer, and we'll check back in 2.5 hours. Here's our toolbox, and I went ahead and I put all of the stuff in the tray. So we printed the tray, put everything in it. So I have the nozzle needle to clean it, the Allen wrenches, some grease. This is a silicone boot for the nozzle for the hot end, some screws that are razor blades, and then everything just kind of goes on in there. Now all my tools are in a nice secure case instead of that cardboard that the printer came with. A lot easier to manage this than cardboard with everything floating loosely in it. Looking at the other items we could print for a P2S, there's greasing tools, which I think would be handy. Print and place handles. Even though I've never had problems with warping, there's a air diffuser. It's one of the more popular prints, actually. This right here. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm actually going to download this. I haven't had problems with warping, but you just never know. So download that one. And then I also like the greasing tool. It's just probably good to have so that you can grease the threaded rods. So we're just going to download that. That'll be a help also. And I think we'll go ahead and do the scraper blade because I haven't done one and I need a scraper blade because they are a help. So we'll go ahead and do the scraper as well. It all looks good. Let's preview the print. Looks okay. I'll go ahead and find some filament, maybe something I have a lot of in one color because these are just single color print. Well, we'll see what we have. But I'll load it up in the AMS and we'll get to printing and we'll take a look at it once it's done. And there's our parts. We've got our little greaser that we grease that with, and then our greasing tool. Here's the diffuser. It goes down or up. There it goes. All right, got the diffuser on. Oh yeah, you can adjust it, it looks like. And there you go. And then here's our scraper. I'm probably gonna need some screws for this here. So we'll put that together. The purpose of this is that it just goes across the handle like so. And that's where it's stored. And I printed all these out using just black PLA filament. Let's head over to the laptop and I'll show you what our last print's gonna be for our useful items that everyone should be printing out for their P2S. Let's head over there, get the last one printed out. Here is it's called the AMS Flipper and it's by Jacob K Design. And there it is for the P2S. They actually have one for the P1S, the X1C. We want the P2S with the AMS2 Pro. And I'm going to actually make it out of PETG. We have some PETG that we'll be making it out of. So let's go ahead and download this and open it. But you can see here, it just flips your AMS up, and then you can access the top of your machine. It looks like a great design. But for now, let's go ahead and download this. And there is our hinge system all right there. So let's go ahead and preview it. It looks like it's going to take 223 grams of filament, 5 hours, 4 minutes to print. Let's go ahead and load up our PETG because we need to switch from the PLA that we have in there. So we'll go over to the printer. I'll meet you at the printer. We'll switch over to our PETG. Then we'll come back and we'll print out our hinge system. Here's the PETG that we're going to be using. It's by Creality. It's just a black PETG here that we have. I've already glued the plate. I glued it from another print we were doing. Actually, it was in our previous episode. I think it'll be sticky enough for the PETG to adhere to because I have had problems in the past with PETG adhering to the bed. I don't think I've never printed PETG with the Bambu. It was in the Elegoo that I was having that problem. I'm sure the Bambu's a lot better. I know it's a lot better, but better safe than sorry. It's already glued, so I'm not going to clean it off. Let's go ahead and remove our black filament. And look, guys, it's not Elegoo filament. See, I told you, not an Elegoo fanboy. Just got it because it was a good deal. Here's some Creality PETG. So let me get this thrown into the AMS here, and then we will go over to the computer and we will start our print. I'm going to change the filament right here while it's loading. I'm going to edit it. We're going to choose generic, and this is PETG, and it's going to be black. And we'll hit confirm. Back at the laptop, print the plate. We have time lapse on. All right, all that looks good. We're going to send it over, and we will just make sure our temperatures line up with what we're doing. And it's going to take about almost a quarter of the spool for this, but that's okay. I don't use PETG a lot. I actually should use it more for these kinds of things, especially anything that requires mechanical force or is going to be around heat or out in the sun. I've always used PETG for. I actually printed some Christmas light holders and stuff this past Christmas in PETG. So those are times I use it. but most of the time you'll find me using PLA. I do eventually want to branch out and try printing with TPU and ABS and different types of filament. Pretty soon I'll start making that change to see the differences and different applications, because PLA is not meant for every single print. It is very useful. 220 degrees C is about where we want to be with our nozzle temp. So we're good there. In the morning, we'll take a look and make sure our hinges look good. 5 hours, 4 minutes, and we got our hinge system here, all in PETG. PETG comes off really easy on the build plate. That's why I use glue to adhere the pieces, because they come off so easily. They're all off, so nothing to clean up here, but we'll go ahead and we'll look at the instructions and see how this goes together and put it together on our Bambu printer. Along with your printed pieces, you are going to need some hardware that you will need to buy, two of which you won't. These two screws that came with the transport plate, that mounted the AMS to the transport plate, I should say. These two screws came with it. You don't need to buy those. What you will need to buy though is 10 M3 by 30 millimeter screws. You'll need 10 of those. And it says countersunk. I have this from Amazon, two different varieties. We'll just see what one looks the best, but you'll need 10 M3 by 30 millimeter. First thing we're gonna do is disconnect our AMS from the printer. To do this, you'll come over to this plug right here and you'll push down on it and remove it. All right, and then to release the feeder tube, push in this button right here and then just pull it out. And then it comes out. Okay, we'll set that off to the side and then we'll tilt this on its back so we can work on it. With the back of the machine now pointed up, we're gonna take each of our corner pieces, or not our corner pieces, we're gonna take each piece of the hinge here that goes onto the AMS and you're gonna push it onto here. Yeah, there we go. Now, you can use the screws it came with when it mounted onto the plate that was on the build plate when this was all together and it shipped. You can use those screws that it came with. I'm not going to because it says you don't need to. It seems really secure. Like I'd really have to try to get that off. So we're just gonna leave those. Then we'll pop on the other side and push it on. There we go, clicked on. Since I do have the screws, I'll go ahead and put them in. Just for the sake of putting them in, I guess. Make sure they're kind of flush so that we don't want them to mar up the glass. So we want them to sink down into there. Okay, we'll put this other side in. I don't think these need it. If you did throw out these screws for whatever reason, don't worry about it. We'll go ahead and let's move on to the next step. All right, with the machine facing back towards us, we have to remove 7 screws. 4 here and 3 on this side right here. Let me go ahead and do that. So the size you need is 2 millimeter. All right, so we'll go ahead and remove all these screws. Remember, righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. Now we have all 7 screws removed. There's our screws. I'm gonna grab 7 of these. Looking back at it, I don't think I need 10 because the P2S and the X1C, I think it said, needed to remove 8 screws. I only needed to remove 7 for the P2S. 7, and I'm using these flatter head screws. Coming back over to the machine, I was a little concerned at first that I'd have to remove the side spool holder, but actually the person that designed this designed it perfectly. It has space right there and it mounts just like that. I know this one goes on this side because the 4 holes, the other one, the top only has 1 hole. Now, a little, kind of a warning here. I don't know if this voids the warranty or not. I can't tell you if it does or if it doesn't. I'm willing to take the risk because one, I see this as actually being very useful. I'm just starting these, by the way, just getting them kind of started. they're not all the way through. I see this as useful because that was one complaint. I was like, I can't get to the glass. You know, I can't get the glass removed to the top and get into the top of the machine without pulling off the AMS. So when I saw this, I was like, yeah, that would be very cool to have. I went ahead and bought the hardware on Amazon that I needed, the screws, and thought, hey, I'll give it a shot. But again, it's going to be your decision ultimately if this is worth. You may be voiding your warranty. Again, I don't know. We're not going internally into the machine. So I don't think it does. Poke this out a little bit so I can see what I'm doing. So I'm just running the screw in a little bit more so that I can see it come out so I can line up the holes better. For these 10 by 30 millimeter screws, I needed to use a 3 millimeter wrench. Other ones are 2.5 for whatever reason. So, and I'm not gonna over tighten this. It just needs to be snug. Snug as a bug in a rug. Now I'm just gonna go back, kind of snug it up, snug that one up. And these are all printed. You saw, they're all printed from PETG with the mechanical force required for a hinge. I'd recommend nothing less than PETG. All right, now we'll come over to the other side. What's cool about this side is it's notched for this tube right here. The person who designed this, kudos to them, because this is a great design. They did a great job with this. Very happy with it. There it goes. Now I gotta decide. All right, that'll run like that. We'll just tighten this one down. All right. And I'm just snugging these up, and then I'll go back around and evenly tighten them. I kind of like to tighten it like it's a tire, kind of go in a star pattern. In this case, I'll run this one snug, and then I'll run this one snug, and then I'll run this one snug. There we go. And I'm not going until I hear something break. See, again, these aren't going anywhere. You could pick up the machine by those. Wouldn't recommend it, but you could. All right, let's go on to the next step. Now we're gonna take these triangle pieces and slot them in. They just kind of, you'll see on this side, there's some grooves. I don't know. Oh, this one probably goes on this side. My word, those are tight. Okay. All right, and I'm just gonna get those snugged in there, and then I'll come back with some clamps here in a minute. To help push these in, I'm gonna use a clamp here, and we'll just, there we go. And that's about as far as they're gonna go. Next up is to make sure this is aligned, and then we're gonna put this in there, like so, okay? And then we're gonna do the same with the other side. Does it look good? Can you see directly through it? All lined up. All right, put that in, this last piece, maybe. Why was the other side so, there it goes. All right, last step is to take 2 more of our M3 30 millimeter screws, which I was right, I only needed 9, since there's not 8 of those to remove. We're gonna run these in there. So, there it goes. And do yourself a favor, get some of these bad boys. This was like $8 at Harbor Freight for the whole set, if you have a Harbor Freight. I don't really do a lot of mechanic work, so I didn't need anything that was real strong, but these are guaranteed for life, the cashier was telling me, so. And they saved my hand from the little metal ones that come with everything. All right, we'll snug that down. It should be about there. Yeah, there it is. Snug that down. All right, back at the other side, we're just running this last screw in. Once it's in, we'll hook up our AMS. We'll test out the hinge, make sure everything works good. Let's hook back up our AMS. Plug it in. I don't know why I'm holding the top. We have the hinge now holding it. And then we'll just run that down. and tug, give it a little tug. Feels good. All right, let's turn, I'm gonna turn this back around. Let's take a look at it. All right, let's give it a tilt. Okay, I can already see a problem. We're too close to the wall. I'll bring that back out. Ooh. Okay, and we can get to the glass, no problem. And remove the glass, get to the top of the printer. Voiceover Brad here. I just wanted to kind of voice over this section because in this I'm actually explaining how the AMS doesn't stay up, and that it, you know, I thought it maybe needed a steeper angle to be held back so that the AMS could stand up on its own. But what it ended up being is if you put filament in there, that weight counterbalances the AMS so it does stand, and you wouldn't need anything to like prop it up or anything like that. So I just wanted to explain that to you guys. Now back to the video. Very cool. I really like it. So definitely would recommend printing out the hinge system. We've got the hinge installed on the P2S, and here's some of our other useful items that we've printed. The scraper, the filament chute, the toolbox. The diffuser is actually in the Bambu. I didn't take it out, but I did show it to you guys when it was there. That's primarily to prevent from warping, it says. I've never experienced warping with the P2S, but I wanted to, you know, have preventative maintenance with it, and it was a very popular print, so I went ahead and printed it anyways. The scraper, again, you know, you learn as you're going along that some of these things are just really useful. Just getting, yeah, there we go. So just getting that scraper under there to be able to peel stuff up off the build plate, it's very handy to have. Most printers come with a scraper. Even the Elegoo had a scraper that you could print out, but I never really thought about it until I'm like, oh my gosh, this is hard to get off. This is hard to get off. And then I was like, scraper. Love to hear about them, and maybe I'd even print them out and try them out myself. So with that being said, make sure to smash that like button and hit subscribe, as that's the best thing you can do to help our channel grow and thrive. So ABP, always be printing, and I'll catch you on the next one.